They're leading it for 99 of them and then have the bloke just pull out and pass you on the last one. I was rather forced into the position I was in yesterday because I was laying third and then something happened to the man who was second, and which was Jim Clark, so I then moved to second, but I had to go faster because Joe Bonnier was coming up in third position. Well, actually, I was pretty worried because last year here, or 1 year anyway, I was 10 laps from the end when everything was going very nicely, and I had a minute, the thing broke. So until I saw that checkered flag, I wasn't sure, but particularly with the Ferraris right on my tail. You know, until I saw the checkered flag, boy, I wasn't so sure. They got within about 2.8 seconds, which is pretty close. And they kept giving me the signal, and as far as I could see, it seemed to be a different chap each time. You know, one signal I'd get, it was Phil Hill, and then a couple of laps later, it was Ginther. Still, you know, same sort of distance, maybe 4 seconds, 5, 3. One seemed to have a go, and then the other one, you know. Yeah, I was driving flat out from approximately the third lap till the 100th lap. I don't know how much quicker I could have gone, but very, very little. I was really right on the limit.
Is winning the race a matter of the car being as good as the driver? After Ginther dropped back, Hill remained 4 or 5 seconds behind you. Is that a case of equal drivers racing equal cars? Because the space between you remains so constant.
Well, it is, in racing, it's difficult for people to understand, but 1/10 of a second, if you're right on the limit, is very difficult to find. And if you were taking the times yesterday, you'd find that Richie would pull maybe a tenth. They'd give me a signal that I was 4.8 ahead. And then I'd go like anything, and then I might pull it to 4.9. And then obviously he'd just get something just right, and it'd go back to 4.8. Very rarely do you pull, did it vary more than that, except when one or the other of us had to lap a slower car. And that, of course, did drop it back half a second, or maybe even a second if the car got in the way, even just for a fraction on the road. If it meant you had to back off instead of being full bore in some particular point, you can drop a second like that. But when the road is clear and you're right on form, a 1/10 of a second is quite difficult to find.
Well, the Grand Prix of Monaco is now history. Peace and quiet have returned to Monte Carlo. The cars and drivers have moved on. This was the third Grand Prix of Monaco victory for Stirling Moss, but he has yet to win the world's driving title. Some people say that he's too hard on cars and that a short course like this one was made to order for him. I don't know, but I do know that after the Grand Prix of Monaco victory, Stirling Moss is the man to beat. I'm Bud Palmer saying so long.
Common courtesy requires that a speaker begin by saying how...
David Schonbrunn is addressing the founding meeting in San Francisco of Business Executives Move Against the War in Vietnam. Mr. Schonbrunn, journalist, historian, has been an eyewitness to the history of Vietnam since the days when Ho Chi Minh was an ally of the United States in World War II. He was the only American correspondent to witness the defeat of France by the Vietnamese at Dien Bien Phu, and was also present at the Geneva Conference in 1954. He has most recently returned from a trip to Hanoi at the invitation of Ho Chi Minh. Mr. Schonbrunn spent 15 years as Paris correspondent for CBS and subsequently became chief of the CBS Washington Bureau. He is presently teaching the first course ever offered on Vietnam at Columbia University's Graduate School in New York City.
When I say, therefore, that I'm pleased to be in San Francisco, I really mean it. It's a great pleasure. It may also be the last pleasurable thing that I say to you today, for there's nothing pleasurable in discussing Vietnam. I'd like to address myself with you to questions that all Americans